Welcome to the Talking Content podcast. Today, I have a very special guest with me. I have Kristen Porter from Zenovate Marketing and Ono Legal. So, if you have been in the real estate space for a while, you might know Kristen from her law firm, Ono Legal, but you might not know that she's also the founder of Zenovate Marketing. So, she has a degree in marketing as well as law, and we are talking all things content marketing today. I'm really excited for what you're going to hear Kristen talk about because we are talking about her content strategy, the approach she takes for her clients when she's setting up marketing campaigns for them. We also talk about Facebook and Instagram ads. So if you want the dirt on how she's building out them and what she's looking at when she's setting up campaigns for her clients to generate leads from Facebook and Instagram, you will want to tune in for this. Kristen's also going to share if she could only create one type of content, what that would be and why. I think you're going to be really pleased to hear what type of content it is, especially if you hate getting on camera. So let's jump in to today's episode with Kristen Porter. Have you had a piece of content that brought unexpected results? And it could be content you've done for Ono Legal, for Zenovate, or for one of your clients.
I think it's really interesting that with content or our marketing, we always have preconceived ideas of what it's going to do for us. And I think with marketing, we really need to be more flexible in what we see is a good piece of content or a goal that we want to hit. So, for example, recently we did a webinar and my goal was to sell 10 privacy packs. This was with the law firm. And we didn't quite hit that mark. And so I was extremely disappointed. However, the surprising result is it was actually on privacy. And in New South Wales next year, privacy is a mandatory CPD point. So we had two real estate trainers reach out to us and say, hey, would you like to help train on this? One of them will get us in front of 7,000 real estate agents a year. So whilst the webinar didn't achieve the goal I was hoping it for, it still achieved something really cool. So I think we have to be quite flexible in what we see as successful content.
Wow, I think that's so right, because I think about whether it's content I'm creating for myself or for a client, and especially when we're creating content for a client, we're thinking about, how can we speak to landlords? How can we speak to landlords? Because that's who most of my clients are looking to reach. But then we just had a client reach out and say, we created this piece of content for landlords, but I had a buyer's advocate reach out and say, can I refer my landlord clients to you? So it's like we beat ourselves up sometimes about not hitting something, and we just completely forget about the other results that come with a piece of content.
Absolutely. And I think that's how we've built our referral base, both in my marketing business and law firm, is we're writing content. Say for the law firm, we're writing content targeted at real estate agents. With the marketing business, we're targeting professional services. But then other people that are possible referrers are then seeing you as the authority in the space. And so I think even though, sometimes we have a pretty narrow target, this is our audience, you do still pick up people on the periphery and can have some really good results.
Yeah. And so this seems like a good time to ask you about your two businesses, because you have a law firm and you have a marketing business. Do you want to tell us how you ended up here?
Oh, that's a really good question, Ellen. So back in the day, I always wanted to be in marketing. And I loved it at school, and I enrolled in the degree at uni. And my mum, like all good mums, thought I'd make a good lawyer, strongly suggested I go down that path. So I ended up getting both degrees. And like all good law students, I then did my practical training so I could become a qualified solicitor, and ended up down that path. And I've always wanted to have my own business. So I started the law firm 5 years ago during COVID. We all remember those times. And it really took off. And then since running my own marketing for my own business, I really, that passion got reignited, if that makes sense. So more recently, myself and Ramesha, who's in my team with Ono Legal, she's like me, she's a marketer and a lawyer. We recently launched our marketing business. So that's really, really exciting. It's quite new, but yeah, already helping quite a few people in professional services, especially lawyers and real estate agents, with their branding and content.
That is so cool. And I love how it happens somewhat organically. Like the marketing reappeared because you have done such great marketing for your law firm. And that just makes so much sense. So you've been marketing now for your law firm for just over 5 years now. How has your content strategy changed, or has it changed?
Oh, no, our content strategy has changed quite a lot. And I think as you mature in business, you need different things at different stages. So, for example, at the beginning, it's mostly about brand awareness. Yes, you're wanting to get clients in because we all need money. We're all in business to make money. And so originally we were pumping out a lot of blogs more for SEO to get the website ranking. At one point, I pulled back on that, mostly because I just got tired, if I'm being honest, Ellen, pumping out a blog a week. But then what we noticed is, whilst the website was still performing, we were sending less emails to our database because we would send our blogs out via email. And we had a massive drop in our discovery calls. So it just shows that you're not sure if people are reading your things or what you're putting out there. So I find that if we do take the foot off the pedal, inquiry does drop. So I think to answer your question, over time, we've been focusing on different things, whether it be we want a lot of traffic to the website, whether we're trying to, amplify our authority in the spaces by, having webinars. That's another, I suppose, channel that we use a lot of webinars. But yeah, I think it changes quite a lot. So you have to be flexible and just really listen to what your clients are telling you, what they need, and what the market's doing.
And so I think so often it's easy to think about our content marketing in terms of our social media presence. And I think we often think about that straight away. But you mentioned that correlation between how frequently you were emailing your database and how many sales calls you were having. Can you talk a little bit more about your email content and how that fits into your strategy?
Yeah, our email marketing is a massive part of our strategy because, as we know, we don't own our social channels. And so we want to get people off socials as quickly as we can into email marketing because we control that channel, we own that channel, and it's a very cheap form of marketing. So it's at the center of everything we do, whether we're sending out blogs that goes via email, whether we're launching a lead magnet like a checklist, or if it's a webinar, we're then getting those details and nurturing those clients because we know that a lot of clients, they won't buy from you the first time they see you. And so to be able to nurture someone digitally, it just runs in the background because if I had to think about manually sending out emails or nurturing or calling clients all the time to kind of keep that relationship going, I mean, that's important as well, but I just know it wouldn't get done. I'm not like, I think we're quite similar. You get really, really busy as a business owner. And unless you've got everything set on autopilot, for me, it just doesn't get done because there's just so many balls in the air. So having it pre-done, pre-planned, having those emails all set out in your nurture sequences, it's a huge part of our strategy for both businesses.
Yeah, okay. Now I want to come back to lead magnets because I know this is something you do exceptionally well. And I know that a lot of our listeners don't have a lead magnet yet, might not know what a lead magnet is. Can you explain what it is and how you use it to pick up leads? But then can you also explain why you send it to your existing database as well? Because you mentioned that.
Well, for those of you that don't know what a lead magnet is, it's simply you're giving something valuable away for free. Well, free as in not for money. What you want to do, so it might be, say, if you're a property manager, the 5 top things or like a checklist a guide. I was talking to a sales agent recently, and we helped them put together just a staging guide, how to get your property ready for sale. And it's a guide, so it's obviously got some valuable information, and there's a checklist at the back that, you know, vendors can just tick off. And you want to then take an email address from them. So you give them the guide, but ask for their email address. And that's really important then, because you can put them into your CRM and you can start to nurture them digitally. So one mistake I do see people make is if they do put a freebie out there, they don't do an email nurture afterwards, which is really, really important. So whenever we give something valuable away, say it's a checklist, we then in the email nurture sequence give them something extra that's valuable. It might be a short video, it might be a bigger guide, before we ask for a sell. So we want to be warming them up. We don't want to be like that guy that proposes on the first date, right? You want to warm people up. You want to date them a little bit before you go for the ask.
Yeah. And so you mentioned you use this to capture new leads, maybe from social media, that sort of thing. But you mentioned that you might also launch it to your existing database, and you already have their contact details. So what's the strategy behind that?
Oh, so the strategy behind launching a lead magnet to your current database is giving them more valuable information. You're nurturing them. Again, people don't buy from us the first time they see our name, or see us on socials. Or sometimes if they're referred to us, they might be a little bit hesitant. They'll do their searches, make sure, you know, you don't have two heads and that, you know, you're the right person to help them. But I find it extremely important. So you've got a marketing funnel. A lot of people, when they look at their marketing funnel, will stop at client engaged, but our marketing funnel goes all the way down to retention. So it's either retaining those clients, so you keep giving them valuable information, or it might be they've not bought from you yet, so you're still nurturing them and warming them up. There are a lot of businesses out there that are quite transactional, that feel like they don't need to nurture people after they've done a deal with them. But you need to stay at the top of their mind, because they might still need you in a couple of years' time. And this way, you're still showing that you're the best person in the space, keeping at the top of their mind so that they call you when they need you to solve their next problem.
Yeah, I love that. I know that when we're creating marketing emails for our clients, quite often those emails, because they're usually linking back to a blog, which is similar to your strategy, quite often our clients will send it to their prospective client database, but also to their existing landlord database, because as you said, that helps with retention. You're adding value to people who are already working with you and already paying you to help with retention, but then also incentivize referral as well.
Well, I was about to mention referral. I'm glad you brought that up, because sometimes, and I think this happens to you too, Ellen, sometimes your referrers, because they're often in your database, I had one the other day that we sent out a blog, and I think we sent out a guide as well, and they contacted us. They're like, oh, would you mind if we put this in our newsletter? Like, we will give you credit, but we think this is valuable content. And so then you've got other people sharing to their databases, which is absolutely fantastic way to get the word out there.
That is such a cool way to get the word out. And like, I feel like that's the ultimate way of growing your database, if someone else will promote you to their database. Like, that's just like, if I could choose almost any lead generation strategy, it would be, can I get into somebody else's newsletter and would they promote me via email? That's just one of the best ever. So can I ask you about kind of your content process? I think you batch and plan your content well in advance, and I know that a lot of our clients do that, whether it's because we do it for them or they do it themselves. Can you step us through what batching looks like for you?
Yeah, and I got this wrong early in the process. So if you're not doing it this way, that is totally okay. I used to start with, oh, quick, I need to get some social media posts out. So I'd do a couple of posts. Oh, now I need to write a blog. And there was no structure to it. So I definitely batch and I reverse engineer. So what often happens is I'll start with a webinar, or if you don't do webinars, you could start the blog. But for example, I'll write a webinar. From there, I can get AI to help me. I can pull that apart into about probably 5 to 10 blogs. And then each blog I can then pull apart into probably 4 or 5 videos. And you can get AI to help you then write video scripts. And then from there, we can then turn the blogs, again, into probably about 5 or 6 social media posts. So we batch, but then repurpose, you're pulling it all apart. And especially then with the video content, we then, put that on different channels. And, I've got some chronic health issues, so I don't always have energy. I don't always feel like doing my hair and makeup. And I feel like you've got to have energy if you want to be on camera and do your videos. So often I'll do my videos once a month maybe, because people always say, oh, you're everywhere, and we see on socials and you're doing videos every day. Honestly, half the time I'm too tired to turn my hair or put my makeup on. So I make sure I do it in kind of one morning or one day, make sure I've got a lot of content there, and then the team can help me, put it together and schedule it.
Oh, I love that. And so I know that quite a few of our clients worry about repeating themselves. Like you explained that you'll have a webinar that's obviously on a particular topic, and then you break that down into blogs and into social posts and videos. This means that you're talking about kind of the same topic on a regular basis. Do we need to worry about repeating ourselves? Are people going to get sick of hearing this?
I thought originally that they would, but there's data that shows, let's say you send out a social media post, and you might know this better than me, Ellen, but you're lucky if a third of your followers even see the post. Same with emails. Good open rates at 30% plus. So not everyone's actually reading the content every time. And also, especially if it's not their subject matter expert, so they need to hear the information several times, especially if it's learning. So a lot of us like to educate. So with both of my business, we like to do a lot of educational content. And if you're like me, I often don't learn things the first time I hear it. I've got to do it, or I've got to hear it several times. So yeah, anyone out there that's worried about repeating themselves, I wouldn't be. And also, you want to think about what it is that you want to be known for, and then talk about that a lot. Because if you talk about things that aren't super relevant to your services or what you want to be known for, you might confuse your audience. So really picking and deciding what it is you want to be known for, and just keep talking about that.
Amen. And so you mentioned talking about the stuff that you want to be known for. How do you incorporate, or do you incorporate any personal content? Like, do people get to know you and Ramesha and the people in your team? How do you decide where the line is on that?
I find that really interesting, because I was really against showing anything personal. And Ramesha, when she came along, she manages the social media accounts. And like, to start off with, I would approve every post, but she knows my voice and style and all the things now, and we work really well together, so she just does it. And I think it was spring, and I saw on my Ono Legal page this photo of me that she'd grabbed off my personal page of me looking like a total hobo, in my farm clothes, because I live on a farm, cuddling a baby lamb because we were lambing. And one, I was horrified because I was in my daggies. But I was so surprised at the amount of engagement we got, people reaching out, being like, oh, how cute's the sheep? And, oh, I live on a farm too. And so what I learned from that exercise, as horrified as I was it worked really well. People get to know you, because we know that people want to buy from people, not brands. So showing that human side, especially because you and I, your listeners as well, we're in quite serious industries. People want to see that there's a human behind that. So yeah, now I'm all for the the personal content, because I was proven very, very wrong, because the data doesn't lie.
But I would imagine you have a line in the sand around what you share and what you don't share, and perhaps your team also have their own lines in the sand, and that might not be the same for everyone. How do you like decide, can this go on social media or is this just for me?
I don't know that I have a set formula or anything, and for everyone, it's very different. I go off a gut feel. That's probably not super helpful. And so I was talking to a new marketing client, and they're criminal lawyers, and we were talking about how much personal things they would post. So, for example, with both of my businesses, we celebrate everyone's birthdays if the team members consent to that. But we've decided not to do that with this criminal firm, just because knowing someone's name and then finding a date of birth, they might be able to track them down. And so I think it depends what kind of business you're in. And because in that situation, there could be an actual risk to those people if their clients found out where they lived, if something, didn't go to plan in that space. But I think it's a gut feel. And I think you just make sure that your team members are okay with it, because if they're not, you don't want to push them. You don't want to make people uncomfortable.
Yeah, I agree. I have my little stranger on an aeroplane rule where if I would share it with a stranger that I'm sitting next to on an aeroplane, I'm happy to share it on social media. And so that means there are certain photos that if I was having a lovely chat to someone on an aeroplane, I would show photos of my cat. I might show maybe a photo of my husband and I, certain photos that I would be happy for a stranger to see if we were chatting about my cat or my husband. Um, but I don't have children, but I would imagine that if I had children, I would probably not tell the stranger my child's age and what school they went to and all of that. That's probably where my line in the sand might be. But I that's the filter I run it through. Would I tell a stranger on an airplane?
I like that.
And if I
I
would,
like
then it can
that.
go on social media. And if
Mm,
I wouldn't, then it stays on my camera roll just for me.
just for you. No, I like that.
Yeah. And so you mentioned the post that had you and the little lamb. Is that one of your best performing posts in terms of likes, comments, that what I'm going to call vanity metrics, those make you feel good engagement stats?
Yeah, definitely if there's animals in photos. Yeah, so that one did very well on what you call, yeah, the vanity metrics. And then we do find whenever we show our face. So whenever there's a bit more human element to it. So yes, we still get good engagement on our what I call our authoritative posts. So when we're, I don't know, doing a carousel that we've broken down from a blog. So, we're teaching about privacy or we're teaching about SEO or whatever it is we're doing. But I find those more personal ones, like celebrating someone's work anniversary, with, the photo of them, it always tends to do much better.
It always does. We have a client who basically collects selfies of herself
Yeah.
when she's having a good hair and makeup day. And then
You know?
she like as she's creating, she does a lot of her social media herself on the fly. And so she'll write a caption and then she just goes through her camera roll, finds a photo usually of herself and pairs it because the image gets people's attention and then she's able to get them to consume the caption, which usually delivers some great value, some good information for investors. And it's like, what a simple little trick to capture people's attention by using faces.
Yep. I love that.
So can I ask about like favorite platforms? Like if you think about favorite social media platforms, but then also thinking about everywhere else that you publish content in your email database and on your website, where's your favorite place?
That's interesting. Look, email. So through the CRM, it's not cool and it's not sexy and it's, those things, and it's happening in the background. But other platforms, it's quite interesting. So during COVID, I joined TikTok and I was a creeper in the background, just kind of watching other people's content. And then I realized there was a lot of real estate agents on TikTok. There must have been some massive conference that taught everyone how to be on TikTok. So I thought, okay, well, I'll give this a go. And it's been really interesting that we've even, because I thought, it's top of funnel, it's more brand awareness, showing, giving valuable information, but it's more about brand awareness, TikTok. But I've been having quite a lot of fun on it, especially because this might sound weird. And I gave this advice to someone the other day who wanted to start doing video. I was like, jump on TikTok, especially if you don't know anyone on there. You can at least practice. And a lot of people see your videos because it's got a huge amount of reach while you're getting your confidence up and while you're getting your skills up. So I like to have a fair bit of fun on TikTok, but I think we try to get most people really into Instagram and then into our emails from there.
Yeah, that's such interesting advice about TikTok, because we also have clients who feel nervous getting on camera. And what a great place to start, where you can practice being on video with an audience that will grow perhaps a little more rapidly, but not necessarily with people you actually know. Because I feel like that's the scariest part, being on camera and having people you actually know see you. Strangers, doesn't matter as much. But like your
Well, that's
old
how I found
boss
it anyway.
or your
Yeah.
mother-in-law, or yeah, that can be
Yeah.
really scary. Yeah. So if you were only allowed to create one type of content going forward, what would it be?
If I was only allowed one form of content, I think it'd have to be blogs. I love writing. It comes quite naturally to me. I can pump a lot out. And like I mentioned earlier, you can then batch really well with written content. So you can then pull it apart into social media and other things. But I think blogs shows your authority. You can nurture your database then with it, but also it helps drive traffic to your website. So we get a lot of work from our blogs because we SEO the blogs. So we make them optimized for the search engines. So I think blogs for me is definitely my go-to because of those reasons.
Yeah, I think that's so wise. And I think blogs had a popularity for many years and then almost went out of fashion for a while, because perhaps we spent all this time and attention on creating content for social media that disappears in like 24 hours, or certainly disappears off all of our audience's radar in 24 hours. But your blog lives on a platform that you own, and continues to grow in reach and impact, kind of the more you add to it and the longer it lives on the internet. So I
Yeah,
think we
absolutely.
underestimate that.
And I like putting my time and effort into what I call evergreen content. So what you're talking about there, where things live on. So yeah, you might put a reel up on Insta and it might stay there for a little bit, but things like blogs will keep working for you into the future. With our law firm, we had a discovery call the other day, and we always ask, where did you find us? And they came in through a blog that we wrote 4 years ago. So the content is still working really hard to generate leads for us. So yeah, I think if you really look at what's evergreen, what can continue, and whilst I like paid ads, for example, as soon as you turn your ad budget off, your leads dry up. Whether the evergreen content, especially if you SEO it for your website, the blogs are the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, wow. Now you've brought up paid ads, and I wasn't going to ask you about this, but now I want to ask you about it, because our audience has probably heard, oh, paid ads. Can I just turn on some Facebook ads and start getting, landlord and vendor leads? Do you want to talk to us a little bit about how, especially like Meta ads work, Facebook and Instagram, how they work and how you're using them for clients to help with lead generation?
Yeah. So first thing I say is don't use paid ads unless you've done some deep branding work and really understand who your ideal client is and how you're different to everyone else. Because if you launch straight into ads, and there's a lot of agencies that are more than happy to just take your money, you'll either be wasting money on ads or you'll be paying too much for leads. Because when you really understand who your ideal client is and you can target them really well and your message is super clear, so that deep branding work, then the ads will work so much better for you and your leads will be so much cheaper. Because, yeah, a lot of people think we'll just turn some ads on and I'll suddenly get a heap of leads. But, you know, if I saw some ads the other day where I knew the business, the ads didn't match their branding. Actually, it took me a while to realize it was their business. It didn't match the branding. And then a lot of people make the mistake of, if they're running, say, Google ads or Facebook ads, that they send people to the homepage of your website. Yeah, you never ever want to send someone to your homepage. You want to send them to a specific, what we call landing page, that's optimized for conversions. Because let's say your ad is book a call, you want to send them to a landing page where they can just book a call. And yes, you'll have some information about your services. Or your ad might be you're promoting your lead magnet because you want to just build up your list. You're in list building mode or database growing mode. So yeah, you want to make sure that any ad really matches then what's on your website. So there's just not a disconnect. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it really does. It really does. So it's not, as anyone who's thinking it's as simple as just hitting boost on a Facebook post, they're not the campaigns you want to be running if you actually want to be using ads for lead generation, actually capturing name and email address. You need to be building out a proper campaign following those principles.
Yes.
If you don't want to
absolutely.
just be making donations to Meta. Because
yeah, I think Meta's doing well enough without us donating to their cause.
Exactly. So can I ask the question that everybody's wondering, and it's okay if you give a vague answer on this one, but like, what does a lead cost on Meta? And how do you qualify what a lead is? How do I know when I've captured a lead, and how do I know what it cost me?
Well, like any good lawyer, I'm going to say it depends. Lead costs vary so much, and it depends on the type of campaign you're running. So, and also your targeting as well. So, whilst you might, like, you see a lot of people going, oh, I got these leads for 50 cents a lead, and that's fantastic. But what we're seeing, and you're probably seeing it too, Ellen, is the cost of leads through Meta increasing. And so that's why it's even, they're becoming very expensive. However, if you do your targeting really well and your messaging's working, then it's not as scary, if that makes sense. And making sure you stay on top of the data so you know then if you're getting a decent ROI on those ads. So lead costs, it depends. It can be anywhere from 50 cents, but you don't see that much anymore, to even $20, $30 a lead. Depends what you're really doing with it. And Meta and their algorithm will want to see, is it good content as well? How much they're going to push it. Meta also rewards ad sets. So an ad set, a lot of people will just have one lot of words and one image, and that's the ad. Meta likes it if there's several versions of the words and several versions of the image, so the copy and the creative, and then the algorithm can determine what's performing better. So that's a mistake we see people making, is not having enough variety in the ad set, because then Meta will reward you for that.
Yeah, that's something that I love. Is that dynamic creative? Is that what we're still calling it on Meta?
Oh, it keeps changing.
It does. It does. But I love that Meta has that functionality, because it means that, like, I'm running ads at the moment and I can have, I think, 10 different images and then 5 different versions of the headline and 5 different versions of the ad copy. And then Meta will test different combinations of all of those things and optimize for the best results.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll find which is the cheapest kind of cost per lead. And I don't know the science behind it, honestly, because the last two lots of webinars we've run and run meta ads to the webinar. In the first webinar, they preferred static image just of me with a little bit of writing. And then the next time we ran the ads for a different webinar, that particular style did the worst in the ad set and a different one. So I'm still trying to work out the magic that is Meta and what they like and what they reward. So I think as long as you're willing to try a few different things and be flexible, then it can really work for you.
And take action on the data that you're seeing, because you obviously saw that this particular image is outperforming that image, which allows you to then potentially dial up the budget on the one that is performing well, and either dial down or just turn off the one that's not performing as well. So if you're paying attention, you're able to get even better results out of it, because it gives you that information so that you can make decisions on that.
Yeah, they're trying to make it as easy as possible for you.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So can I end our podcast today by just asking for a little word of wisdom for anyone who is looking at their content strategy, or maybe their lack of content strategy, and going, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to prioritize. I don't know what to do. What do you say to someone like that?
Overwhelm is completely normal. Just pick one thing, just pick one platform or one form of content. Because, yes, you might see your competitors doing videos and they're on TikTok and they're on YouTube and they're on Instagram and they're doing blogs and they're doing all these things. Just pick one thing. So, for example, if you like writing, maybe start writing some blogs. If you don't have time for that, or you don't really want to, but you like pulling out your camera and you can do a quick 30-second video, do one of them a week. Whatever feels natural to you, just do one thing, because otherwise you'll feel super overwhelmed. And also, done is better than perfect. I'm a recovering perfectionist, and I would never send anything live unless it was absolutely perfect. So, for example, with my videos now, I don't watch them. I get Ramesha in my team to edit them for me. I never watch them because I would never, ever send them out. Because we all hate the way we speak. We all hate the way we look on camera. So pick one thing, and remember, done is better than perfect.
Oh, what a way to end. I feel like that needs to be like written on a post-it note and stuck on all of our screens to remind us. Kristen, thank you so much for being here. We're going to link all of the places that we can find you on social media, but also your website and how people can get on your database so that they can get your newsletter via email. We'll put all of that in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here today. And I know that our followers and listeners will be really excited to connect with you.
Thank you so much for having me, Ellen. It's been fantastic.